Ever felt like you have got everything you ever dreamed of, but deep down something just doesn't click? That was me in 2020. Living in Dubai, surrounded by luxury cars, jaw-dropping skyscrapers, and endless branches. But inside, I felt empty, like a Ferrari running on fumes. And then this little orange book entered my life. It didn't just change how I think, it flipped my entire outlook on its head. MarkManson's no BS philosophy pulled me out of my funk, and today I am here to share how it might just do the same for you. Hey there, I am Satya. Today we are diving into a book that is not just about being bold with language, it's about being bold with life. I am talking about Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up. The title is spicy, but the lessons are worth it. This book pulled me out of a tough time in Dubai, where I was missing home and struggling to find meaning amidst the chaos. Let's unpack its gems and see how it might just change your perspective too. The book kicks off with the paradoxical idea, don't try. Manson uses Bukowski's story to explain that chasing success obsessively can actually backfire. It's about embracing who you are and what you truly care about, instead of running after what society thinks you should want. Take Charles Bukowski. He was a failed writer, rejected by almost every publisher. He spent years drinking, barely scraping by, and working at a post office. But one day, he stopped trying so hard to be a successful writer and just wrote for himself. The result? He became one of the most celebrated writers of his time. Back in Dubai, I was caught up in the rat race, trying to earn, save, and impress. I wanted the best apartment, the best car, the best everything. But I was never satisfied. Reading this chapter made me realize chasing success for the sake of validation is a never-ending cycle. So, what did I do? I stopped obsessing over what I should want and started focusing on what actually mattered to me. Learning, creating, and being present. And that small shift made all the difference. The irony, when Bukowski stopped trying so hard, success followed. Maybe, just maybe, it works the same way for us too. Alright, let's talk about happiness. We have all been told it's the ultimate goal, right? Be happy, stay happy, chase happiness. But what if I told you that's a trap? Manson argues that life is inherently full of problems. It's not about avoiding them, it's about picking the problems worth solving. Think about it. Every time we set happiness as the finish line, we just move it further away. More money, more success, more validation. It's never enough. Manson shares a powerful story about a young prince. He had everything: wealth, luxury, comfort. But no matter how much he had, he felt empty. So he left it all behind and faced suffering, pain, and struggle for the first time. Through suffering, he finally found meaning and wisdom. That prince, he became the Buddha. The lessons: happiness is not about eliminating struggles, it's about choosing the right struggles. I thought happiness was about success. The more I achieved, the happier I would be, right? But I was wrong. The bigger my success, the bigger my stress. It felt like no matter how much I did, there was always another level to chase. This chapter made me ask myself a different question. What problems am I willing to deal with every day? Because the struggles we embrace define our happiness. I stopped chasing an illusion and started finding joy in the process, learning, growing, and creating. Instead of asking, how do I become happy, I started asking, what problems am I willing to solve? And just like that, everything changed. This chapter, Oh boy, it's the reality check we all need but don't want. Manson says it straight, you are not special. And honestly, neither am I. Manson tells the story of a guy who believed he was destined for greatness. He thought he was different, exceptional, meant for success. But guess what? Nothing happened. Why? Because he was waiting for the world to recognize his greatness instead of putting in real effort. Manson's point is not make you feel bad. It's to free you. Accepting that you are not special means accepting that life does not owe you anything, and that's powerful. I will be real with you. When I first moved to Dubai, I had this sense of entitlement. I had worked hard, taken risks, and I expected life to reward me. I thought I deserve success, I deserve happiness. But then life hit me with a big fat no. The moment I stopped expecting the world to hand me what I thought I deserved and instead focused on what I could control, my skills, my effort, my mindset, things started shifting. I was not owed success. I had to build it from the ground up. And the best part, when you stop obsessing over being special, you can finally focus on what truly matters. Growth, connection, and living your life authentically. You don't have to be special to do something meaningful. You just have to start. Suffering is not optional. It's part of life. But the real question is, what are you suffering for? MarkManson shares the story of Dave Mustaine, the former guitarist of Metallica. Imagine he is kicked out of the band just before they became one of the biggest rock bands in history. Humiliated and furious, he vows to prove them wrong. He starts his own band, Megabeth, and becomes wildly successful. Millions of albums sold, a legendary name in the metal scene. But guess what? He still saw himself as a failure. Why? Because he never became bigger than Metallica. Despite all his success, Mustaine measured himself against Metallica. He chose a struggle that never truly fulfilled him. This chapter made me question, was I suffering for the right things? Back in the day, I was grinding, pushing, always trying to be more successful. But was I suffering for something truly meaningful to me? Or was I just chasing an illusion? The truth is, you can't avoid suffering, but you can choose the suffering that's worth it. If you love music, the struggle of practicing is worth it. If you love creating, the grind of building something from scratch is worth it. But if you are chasing success just to prove something, maybe it's time to ask yourself, is this the suffering I want? Happiness is not about avoiding pain. It's about chasing or choosing pain that matters. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are making choices. Even when you feel like you don't have control, you do. That's what this chapter is all about. MarkManson explains that life is a series of choices. We don't always get to choose what happens to us, but we always choose how we respond. The problem is most people don't even realize they are making choices. Here is the thing. If you are unhappy in a situation, you are choosing to stay in it. If you hate your job but do nothing to change it, you are choosing that frustration. If you are stuck in toxic relationship but don't walk away, that's a choice too. Manson gives a simple but very powerful truth. If you want to change your life, start owning your choices. Oh, wait a minute. That sounds like a line from Spider-Man, right? But here, Manson flips it. He says, with great responsibility comes great power. When you take responsibility for your life, you gain the power to change it. This chapter really hit me. In past, I kept blaming my situation. I am too busy, I can't change things, it's out of my control. But the truth, I was choosing that life. I was choosing to prioritize work over my health. I was choosing to live on autopilot. And once I accepted that, it changed everything. When you realize that you are always choosing, you stop making excuses. You start making changes. Here is a hard pill to swallow. What if I told you that you are wrong about everything? Not just some things, everything. And so am I. Mark Manson makes a bold claim in this chapter. We are always wrong. Not because we are stupid, but because life is constantly changing. And what we think is right today might be proven wrong tomorrow. Remember when people believed that Earth was the center of the universe? Or that smoking was good for your health? Imagine how many things we believe today that might seem ridiculous in the future. Manson's point is simple. Growth happens when we admit we could be wrong. The problem? Most people would rather defend their beliefs than question them. Think about it. How often do we argue just to be right, even when deep down we know we might be wrong? The more we cling to our beliefs, the harder it is to learn and grow. Manson suggests a better approach. What if, instead of proving ourselves right, we focused on learning? What if we asked, what if I am wrong? Instead of, how do I prove I am right? This chapter hit me hard. Back in the day, I had a lot of assumptions about success, happiness, and even myself. I thought I had life figured out. But the more I questioned my own belief, the more I realized how much I had to learn. So here is the challenge. Next time you feel 100% sure about something, pause. Ask yourself, what if I am wrong? Because the more open we are to being wrong, the more we actually grow. Most of us fear failure. We treat it like the ultimate enemy. But what if I told you that failure is not just necessary, it's the only way forward? Mark Manson shares the story of Pete Best, the original drummer for the Beatles. He had what seemed like the perfect gig, playing for a band on the rise. Then, just before the Beatles became the Beatles, they kicked him out. Can you imagine? Losing a spot in what would become the biggest band in history? For years, Pete struggled. He fell into depression, constantly asking himself, why me? But then something changed. He let go of the past, built a new life, and later said that getting kicked out of the Beatles was actually the best thing that ever happened to him. His failure forced him to find happiness on his own terms. He realized success was not about being in the biggest band. It was about building a life that actually made him happy. And this made me think, how many times have we let failure define us? How many times have we given up just because something didn't work out the way we wanted? Here is the truth. If you want to succeed at anything, you have to fail first, repeatedly. The problem is not failure, it's how we react to it. Failure is painful. I won't sugarcoat that. When I was in Dubai, I had my fair share of failures. Projects that flopped, missed opportunities, personal struggles. But looking back, every failure taught me something I needed to know. Manson says, the most successful people are not the ones who avoid failure, but the ones who learn to fail better. So, instead of fearing failure, maybe we should start asking, what can I learn from this? The road to success is paved with wins. It's paved with failures that you refuse to let stop you. So, go ahead, fail, and then fail again, just to make sure you fail forward. If you have ever felt exhausted, overwhelmed, or stretched too thin, Here is something you need to hear. The most important word in your life is not yes, it's no. Mark Manson argues that the reason so many people feel unhappy is not that they don't have enough opportunities. It's that they say yes to too many things that don't truly matter. Saying no is not about being rude. It's about setting boundaries. Because every time you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. Manson brings up a great example. Steve Jobs. When he returned to Apple in the late 90s, the company was in chaos. Too many products, too many projects. So, what did he do? He started saying no. He cut the product line down from dozens to just handful, focusing only on what truly mattered. The result? Apple became one of the most successful companies in the world. Saying no is hard. It feels like you are missing out. But every time you eliminate distractions, you give yourself more energy for what truly matters. Back in the day, I was a yes person. Work, social events, extra commitments. I took on everything. I thought saying yes meant I was ambitious. But really? It just left me exhausted. Then I read this chapter and it hit me. Every yes I gave to something I didn't truly care about was a no to my own well-being. So I started small. I said to unnecessary meetings. I said no to social events I was not excited about, and for the first time in years, I felt in control of my time again. The truth is, every no creates space for something better, for your health, for your passions, for the things that make your life meaningful. If there is one truth none of us can escape, it's this: one day we are all going to die. Sounds harsh, right? But Mark Manson says this is not something to fear. It's actually the key to living fully. Manson argues the most of us live as if we have all the time in the world. We waste energy on things that don't matter, chase pointless goals, and stress over trivial problems. But when you truly accept that your time is limited, everything changes. Manson draws from the work of psychologist Ernest Becker, who wrote The Denial of Death. Becker said that humans spend their lives avoiding the reality of death, distracting themselves with work, entertainment, and social status. But the people who truly live, they are the ones who accept death, embrace it, and use it as motivation. When you realize you don't have forever, you stop procrastinating. You stop waiting for someday to do what matters. You stop holding grudges, fearing judgment, and postponing happiness. During COVID, everything came to a standstill. No flight, no weekend trips, no coffee shop meetups, just me, my thoughts, and a deep realization. I had been running on autopilot. I was always chasing the next thing: career growth, financial goals, future plans. But for what? The world was paused, and so was I. It forced me to confront the truth I had been avoiding. That's when I realized I was delaying happiness. I was waiting for the perfect moment to spend time with my family, to visit home, to reconnect with old friends, and then it hit me. What if that perfect moment never comes? That's when I made a choice. I decided I was not going to wait anymore. I moved back to my country, spent quality time with my parents, reconnected with old friends, and embraced life as it was meant to be lived, with the people who mattered the most. Looking back, COVID was the hardest phase of our lives, but it also gave me the biggest realization. Life is happening now, not someday in the future, and the only thing we truly take with us is the love, memories, and moments we create with the people we care about. So, what if today was your last? Would you be proud of how you lived it? Would you regret the time you didn't spend with your loved ones? The experiences you postponed, the happiness you delayed? So, there you have it. The subtle art of not giving up. You know what? It's not just a book, it's a wake-up call. A reminder that life is too short to chase every shiny things or obsess over what it doesn't matter. Here is the truth. You are always choosing. Every day, every moment. The question is, are you choosing the things that truly matter to you? The problems you choose, the failures you embrace, the no's you say, and the values you stand by. That's what defines your life. So, what are you giving your to today? And is it worth it? If this video reconnect with you, drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your favorite lesson from the book or one moment in life when you choose what truly mattered. And if you have not read the book yet, what are you waiting for? Your funds are precious. Spend them wisely. By the way, if you have been following the Story of Us series, don't worry. The next episode is coming soon. But I also want to share other ideas that have impacted my life, like this book. Because sometimes a single book can change how you see the world. Just like understanding our past can change how we see ourselves. I will keep sharing more books that have changed my perspective. So, if you enjoy this, let me know. And now, what are you giving your thoughts to today? And is it worth it?